those kind of lifestyles, you know, and that was all driven by the various things that were coming, you know, to fruition during that time frame. And so that really started to do that. Then another change happened right around the same time, end of 80s, beginning of 90s, and this was called cohort marketing. Everybody had various credit cards, or even, you know, many companies like JCPenney, MCI, everybody had their Sears, the airlines, they all had their own unique cards. And then we started to even see things like reward cards that, you know, started to appear. So what would happen was, now because of these technologies, people were able to target and understand the purchasing behaviors of people, and be able to create, based on that knowledge and that information, to develop very targeted approaches to their advertising. And then the latest is what we call generational marketing. And I have spent a ton of time in the last year really understanding this technique. And this is where we look at targeting a market based on a generation. And so a generation, let's say for boomers, people that are my age, I don't even want to admit what age I'm at, but I grew up in a different time. I grew up with different beliefs. I grew up with things that I'm comfortable with. You go to the Gen Xers, and the Gen Xers are a generation that they typically, you know, born before, let's say, 1980, and just slightly, I would say, in the late 60s. And those people, they grew up with more technology, let's say, than I did. And each of these characteristics, and when we get to the millennials, whoa, they are totally different. And it's not only different in terms of who they are and how they grew up, but how they want to receive information. Recently, I've been working with a large national company that works with, they photograph over close to 1 million preschool and daycare center children throughout the United States. And so as we started to go through this exercise, we started to define our market by the directors, because these people have to sell to those people. Now, why am I using this as an example? Last week, someone actually came up and they were saying that they were writing a book about children's nutrition, okay? And one of the target markets for that could be preschools. Well, if that book potentially could be applied and be in every preschool and every daycare center across the United States, you want to understand what that target market's about. So I went on, and I'm going to show you the various ways that you can go in and you can learn just about everything about those individuals. So in this case, and let's just pick on this particular subject matter, the daycare directors are between 35 and 45 years old. They have spent 5 years, typically either as a preschool teacher or an educational teacher. They have a bachelor's degree. I can tell you that they prefer to use, they are one of the biggest users of Facebook. They prefer email. They are very savvy with cell phones and mobile devices, etc. But as I dug in and understood, which I'm going to show you how I was able to find that information, it was very easy for us to craft our message when we built the website to specifically meet their needs, their wants, their desires. Take the other side of that, which are the parents, and those parents are millennials. They are people that were born after let's say 1980 is kind of the cutoff. They're now becoming parents. In fact, there's tons of research that's out there on parents of millennials. And I will tell you, millennials are very different. They are very eco-friendly. They hate high sales, heavy sales pitches. They prefer text over anything else. They are very active on Facebook. They want what they want, how they want it, when they want it. They are a whole different breed. Whole white paper, which if I have time later I can show you some of the information in there, but it's basically defining those generations and then taking that down and understanding from a marketing perspective how we want to reach them. So that's kind of the history of where it's come. Why did I tell you that? Because now there are so many ways, and it's almost scary when I get on things. There are so many ways that you can really get into information that's going to help you define who that particular target market that you as an author may want to go after. So there are really 4 steps that I want you to think about when you want to identify your target market for your book. And I want you to break it down into who are they, where do they exist, why, why they do what they do, why they behave like they behave, why they buy things like they buy. An example might be, particular millennials are much more attracted to ebooks than they are to printed books. Gen Xers are attracted to more printed books. And then the how. How do we need to reach them, and how do they want to be reached? So let's step in and give you my first of 10 ninja tricks for researching your target market. This is a client I talked about at Judas' last extravaganza. I'm very proud of this particular woman. She wrote a book called To Tuscany with Love, and it's a fictional book. And it's about some students that spent a summer abroad. And as we started to look at the demographic that we were going after, her book was in women's fiction, we started to really want to say, okay, is there anything else out there like that? So what I'm saying to you is Amazon can be your friend. And quite honestly, a lot of this information I have to credit to my dear friend Amy. And Amy, she knows Amazon inside and out. One of the things you can do with Amazon is if you go in, and in this case, I just went into Amazon Books, and I type in To Tuscany with Love. And then up will pop, customers who bought this also bought. So you can scroll through and you can see what they are. And I see this one, there's 71 reviews on Not in a Tuscan Villa. So I'm like, I want to dig into it. Well, the good news about this particular author was on that particular page in Amazon, they actually had their website and they had their Facebook page. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to dive in a little deeper. And so the first thing I did was I went into Facebook. And this is a technique that many of you may not know about, but once you're in Facebook, you can literally go in. You have to be signed in as your personal account, not as your business page. And once you're signed in, so you can see my little picture up there where it says Georgia, and over to the left where there's that little F, blue F, I typed in favorite interests of fans of Not in a Tuscan Villa. Now this page goes on and on and on, but you can see that the top interests of the people that are fans of this particular author are traveling, gardening, cooking, and you can go on and on and on. Now you can do this, and I encourage you all, if you currently have a Facebook page or you know of a competitor that, or you've followed someone that you respect, and in fact, in Gail's case, what I did was one of the top women's fiction authors is Jennifer Weiner. And so very early on, we went in to see what were the favorite interests of fans of Jennifer Weiner. And so this goes on and on and on. But here's what's even more interesting. On that same line item, I can say books liked by people who like Not in a Tuscan Villa. And I can see 100 places in Italy every woman should go. An Italian Journey. True Vines. I'm like, okay, I'm learning a little bit more. And then I said, you know what, I even want to dive deeper. Now, what I could do, and if you want to just put it in the chat button, if you want me to segue later, tell me, show me more, Georgia, I'll actually show you how you can do even more of this deep dive and find out much more detailed information. So let me show you the next one. Here, what you can do is, again, I basically went in to the same kind of search, but instead of searching on Not in a Tuscan Villa, I searched on To Tuscany with Love.
Georgia, we have a question right now that's asking, what was the phrase to use, again, to go into Facebook?
Okay. There's many phrases, but the first one might try this. Favorite interests of fans of, and then you just put in a Facebook page. So we could do favorite interests of fans of author U. Okay. Favorite interests of fans of Publicity Hound. Favorite interests of any page, and it will tell you of the fans what are the things that resonate the most with them. Did that answer it?
Yes, it did. She said thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, so this one, you can actually go in, and there's several options once you type in that query. And so I'm just showing you over on, when you do this, you can actually go in. Let's say you typed in favorite interests of fans of, Gail Mancini. And over to the top, over on the right-hand side, you're going to get this thing, and it's going to say, what else do you want to see? And you can pull down and say, okay, I want to see page type, anybody that's an employer, and I want to see a place type bookstore. And I can see people, okay, who are fans of Gail's, who also have a page type or in their, the way they've described themselves, if they're an employer, they work for an employer, and I can actually see the bookstores. I can go in and I can even say, if it's, if the information does come up, I want to see their favorite restaurants. I want to see where they travel to, what regions. I want to see what movies they've seen. It's really scary shit. Excuse me. It's really scary stuff. But I'm sorry. At least I didn't say the F word. But anyway, it's amazing what you can see. Now, we happen to know that Gail is very well liked at the Tattered Cover Bookstore. That's Denver. But it was interesting as I went through these, and I only have a screen grab of these, some of the other ones that came up. And some of the libraries are actually included in this particular search. And guess what? We found out, I think about a month ago, that a public library in Dallas, Texas had featured her book. And so this is just the very beginning of what you can do. Now, I could really show you some scary stuff. And this is scary stuff. But it's so powerful. Every single one of you have the option on your Facebook page, when you're signed in as your individual personal profile, to go into what they call Ads Manager. And they have a new capability, and it's called Audience Insights. And what it allows you to do is to create, first, your targeted demographic. So taking all that stuff that I just showed you, this is just a screen grab, I can go in and I could target all people in the United States. I can select an age range between, let's say, our book, in Gail's case, it's young kids going abroad, whatever. I could go in, I could select a certain age range. I could say I only want to look at women, and I want to look at their interests, I want to look at their behaviors, I want to look at their lifestyles, and let me tell you, the stuff it shows you is incredible. I can actually pull up what is their preferred method for online payment. I can see what is the most active means that they use to buy things. I can see if they are active purchasers online. I can find out if they own a home, if they rent a home. It is absolutely unbelievable, the amount of data. So it takes, go back to that history that I shared with you about men, woman, right? Then go to the next one, which is lifestyles. You know, they like to dance, they like this, they like that. Then go into the next. There's even, you can drive down into generations. You can say, I want only boomers. I want to see people that live in Chicago, Illinois, who are female, that are between the age of 30 and 35, that have a toddler, 0 to 3, and an adult child that's a teen. Unbelievable the amount of information you can get. So if you want, type in the chat window, say, Georgia, please save time to show me that, because I'm only on number 3, and I'll be happy to do that later. Okay, here's another one. This is unbelievable. This is a tool called RapLeaf, RAPLEAF.com. Everybody says your list, your list, your list. What this tool does, and they actually have a free trial, this tool actually allows you to go in, upload your email list, which I encourage all of you. If you don't have one, that's one of the goals, that when you build your website, you're going to want to make sure you have. So when you build a website, you might want to offer an opt-in, like download my first 3 chapters for free, but you want to get their email address from them. And this will actually tie information like presence of children, marital status, all kinds of data directly tied to the email list. Judith, you got to try that one. It is unbelievable, the amount of data that you can get. So those people that have big email lists, this is a huge winner. It's called rapleaf.com. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, forget it, I don't really want Twitter, I can't stand it. Let me tell you, folks, Twitter is for real. And there's a tool called Just Tweet It. Again, it's free. And you can go in, and in this case, I clicked on the popular directory. You can put in a search for any kind of directory, but I put in parenting. And I just grabbed a couple, but I can see here from Rose W., and right from this tool, I can actually go and follow that person. I tweet on subjects including healthy living, cooking, parenting, local food, gardening, food allergies. When not tweeting, I'm taking care of my, and she has her blog, okay, which gives custom advice on healthy eating and living. Now let's start thinking about if you were going to be doing a blog tour. And let's say you had a book about children's nutrition. This would be a perfect person that you could reach out to. That maybe you send them a free book or an ebook, and you ask in exchange for them, you know, reading it, that they maybe write a nice report about that, or maybe you even, you know, submit a guest blog post. But you can go in and dive so deep, and this page goes on and on and on. And when I went through this, it was amazing how many people, even in parenting, it's not just like unimportant people, the number of authors that came up, the number of journalists that came up. So it's an awesome way, again, to find more information, but not only find information based in the subject matter, but to actually find the people. And there's another Twitter tool which is called We Follow. And same thing there. You can go in. So let's say you're writing a book about snowboarding, or you're a vegan book. Again, you can go in there and you can see I can immediately identify over 2,001 people that are interested in that subject, vegan. Yes, it takes time, folks. I'm not saying that this is something that happens overnight, but I will have to tell you, with the clients that I've worked with, Twitter has been one of the most effective tools, once I find who those people are and that they share an interest that my book is about, to reach and engage with them. Let me give you an example. I'll go back to
Georgia,
that.
it's also important with Twitter is that they use the hashtags.
Yep, and I'm going to show you,
Okay.
Judith. I have another one in a minute where I'm going to show you how you can even find those awesome hashtags. You're absolutely right. When Gail first launched her book, again, it was a fiction book, we immediately did our demographics. And we knew that, travel was big. We knew cooking, food was big. And so we started to research who would be those movers and shakers. And we started to follow them. And lo and behold, we were able to, as we started to do this, and we did it not only for people that would, potentially buy the book, but also help us, promote the book out. We were able to find podcasters who invited her for live, free podcast interviews. I think they've done 2 with her now. Well, the good news about them is they were really connected to some other movers and shakers. And so word started to spread. And as that word started to spread and people saw the engagement we were getting and the engagement, the fact that, we were very active, exchanging information, thank yous, etc., we were actually invited. I don't know if you want to use the word invited, but we found a online store that's called, God, it's escaping me now. But basically what they focus on is specializing in books that when people go to a particular vacation spot, excuse me, that they should read. And as a result, our sales from the UK and other places in Europe spiked because this particular online site started to carry it. We also got very active and tried to understand not just people that would buy the book, but also taking that same concept and trying to tie that into people who were interested in those subject matters. And so we engaged with certain journalists who wrote about different topics. In February, Gail's book was picked as Women's Fiction Book for USA Today. And so it was finding, understanding all these things, and then using these various tools to figure out how to engage and get with them. The next example is don't forget the basics. And I apologize that this is so small.
Georgia, before you go on, Georgia, before you hit number 6, can you go, there's a couple of questions, and you're going to, some of people,
Sure.
and it deals with some of the websites you referred to. If you'll go back to, this was your number 4, and you were talking about Rapleaf.
Yep.
Some people are going to it and getting an oddball site. So would you repeat what it's rapleaf.com.
Right.
So hopefully RAPLEAF everyone.com.
They're saying that it's not coming up?
Well, they were saying that something else was odd coming up. So
let me, hold on one second. Let me get on my other computer.
Okay, so it goes to intelligence.towerdata.com. So it looks like it's a redirect.
Let's try this.
All right, intelligence.towerdata.com. Looks like it's a redirect.
Let me go there.
Are you trying?
Yeah, so that's that. Yeah, it's just that's what they call. And so, but you see, formerly rapleaf.com.
Yeah. Now, why would they get a longer name when you could go to that?
I know.
All right. So we have that, and then another question came in is that you mentioned a couple of sites, and I don't know if you were in that.
Oh, okay. Let's go to this one.
Yes.
Okay. It's called Just Tweet It.
All right. Just Tweet It.
And the top slide, Judith, shows you can pick. So in this case, I clicked on parenting. And on the right where I show you just a clip of Rose W. and Family Dads. I can in a second, when I get through these, we can go one by one and I can take people through them, if that will help.
Yep. I think that we can, I will try to just type them out as we go along.
Okay.
All right.
Am I talking too fast?
No, I think we're fine.
Okay.
So keep on rolling. I'm just trying to deal with some of these as I come on. All right, we're good.
Okay. All right. Okay, so the next thing is, don't forget the basics. There is a site, it's basically the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This is particularly helpful for people that may be writing a book that has to do with any kind of business. So in this case, I was able to go in and search, and I did a search, just daycare center directors. And a number of solutions come up that I can pick on. And as I went into that, I was able to find, it redirects you to another place called onet.com, and again, we can go there. And I can tell, I was able to go in, and this is actually just 3, I think of 9 or 10 different pieces of information that they have on this. So this is, it was actually done for preschool directors and daycare center directors, and it said, rate, the census did, or Bureau of Labor Statistics did some, studies, et cetera. What is the most important thing, or in terms of a skill? Active listening, giving full attention to what other people are saying, taking time to understand the points being made, speaking, talking to others, okay, to convey information effectively, mentoring, critical thinking, time management, okay, go over to work values, relationships, achievement, go to knowledge. Number 2, education and training. Knowledge and principle and methods of training, teaching, instruction for individuals and groups. Customer and personal service. So you can, with any type of job profile, there is information available like this. I mean, one of the ones I didn't show you is technology used. And guess what the number 2, which made my client very happy, was photography, digital cameras. They never in a million years thought the digital cameras were the number 2 highly sought after technology for daycare center directors. And so again, this is just something that exists that a lot of people, it's just the basic. It's the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There's another one, which is you can actually go down, if you want, to individual zip code levels. And Amy Collins, if you're on this, you'll recall the conversation we had last week when we were talking with one of the authors, and you said we need to regionalize, right?
Yes.
And we looked at where her book sales were coming from, and we found that maybe we weren't targeting the right regional location. Well, again, with Zip Skinny, it's amazing how much individual census data that you can get by zip code. So let's say you want to target certain bookstores, but you know your book is going to appeal to, let's say, boomers or whatever. You can start to analyze this data to see where it's going to make most sense to maybe even do some of those regional type activities. Again, as authors, a lot of people think about the book only, but many of you may want to expand your business to go beyond the book. Maybe you're going to be doing, speaking engagements or running seminars or webinars. So don't forget that local can be incredibly powerful. Okay?
Georgia?
Yes.
This is Joan.
Hi, Joni.
Hi. So if I'm a Wisconsin author from the Milwaukee area, and let's say I have a book that takes place in Portland, Oregon, I could focus on those. I could do like the general Milwaukee metropolitan area for publicity, as well as more of a publicity campaign in the Portland, Oregon area, right?
Yep, you can take, when I was using this for the client that I was telling you about, we knew that we wanted to target Chicago, because after using Facebook, we saw that there was a tremendous, given our demographic profile of, millennials with children over so-and-so, that a concentration in the United States was Chicago was a big area. and they weren't really, we wanted to nail it even down further. And so we were able to go into Chicago. We were able to find the highest concentration of parents that had kids in the preschool area, and then was able to tie that, specifically to the daycare centers that we wanted to target. I mean, that's, that's more of a company targeting, but you can get as creative as you want, Joni.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another one. This is a tool that's called Global Web Index. And they have a 14-day free trial. They have, and I would say give it a try for 14 days, right? After that, they can be a little expensive. They can be like $89 a month. But if you really find, maybe even some of you are at the stage where you're just beginning to write your book, and we all know that research and information is key. So a lot of these things that I'm teaching you, even though I'm tying it more to a marketing approach, can also be good and used for your research and writing your book. Well, this one allows you to go in, and this is just 6 of many, where it will, basically it's an online real consumer study kind of company, and they will give you information on personal profiling, demographics, attitudinal attributes, social media engagement, where are they, most active, what do they do on the internet, what are their e-commerce behaviors. So for 14 days, give it a shot. Give it a shot. It's free. Now I'm going to pick on my dear friend, Miss Joni. She did very well, by the way. Again, this is a tool, and it's called quicksprout.com. So, Joni, I decided to go in. I decided to, you're not my competition, but I just use you as an example to show, because you do such a great job with your blogs and your engagement. Now, did you know these stats, Joni?
No.
Okay. So you've had over 2,238 shares. We scanned over 127 pages on your website. Your number one is Pinterest, Joni.
That I knew.
You have more, yep, followed by Facebook, followed by Twitter, followed by LinkedIn, followed by Google. But I can even go in deeper, and I can over here look at, okay, which one did I really like? How to use Google Communities to connect. You have 18 Facebook shares, 3 tweets, 6 LinkedIn, 8 Pinterest, 2 Google+. Or no, 23, I'm sorry, I'm up, 23. So Google+, like that's the best probably because you're saying Google Communities. Down here, the social media / topic social media, Google, again, Pinterest was your number 1. Didn't kill the press, Twitter was. So you can start to see, based on what you're writing about in your blog, where it's resonating most. Now, why is this key for you guys as authors? Again, you can put in anybody's URL. And you can, this is just one where it said, let's evaluate it from a social media engagement. They have 3 options. Not only can you view it from your social media engagement standpoint, but you can also look at it from a website standpoint, and I'll show you that in a minute.
Georgia, is this a free site? Is this free?
Yep.
A free site, or
Yep.
is it it's
Nope,
free?
it's free. Free. Quicksprout.com.
Wow.
I know. Pretty cool, huh?
That's real cool.
Yeah. So again, just incredible amount of information. This next one, this is just another view of it. So what I did was, going back to Gail's story, I said, you know what? I want to compare GailMancini.com, which is her website, and it says, okay, enter in 3 people you want to compare with. So I wanted to compare with Jennifer Weiner, because she's a pretty hot ticket. I wanted to compare it to Frances May's book. She wrote Under the Tuscan Sun. And then I did this guy, Not a Tuscan Villa. Well, the good news was we beat the crap out of Not a Tuscan Villa. And it'll actually go in and tell you how you're doing from keywords, how you're doing from a search engine optimization standpoint, how you're doing from a speed standpoint. So again, when we're thinking about targeting our clients, and we want to think about, once we've defined who they are, how can we build the various things and engage, don't forget that we need to look at our competitors. And I think that, again, it's very simple to do. It's called quicksprout.com. The last one is, I don't want people to forget about Pinterest. And this is a tool, and it's available on Chrome, and it's called Pin Search. And what this will do is it's an extension, it's a Chrome extension, and it allows you to get information, a wealth of information about any picture you find on Pinterest. So you can find out, if it was a chef, who was the chef? If it was a photographer, whatever. I mean, anything you can imagine. Very, very powerful way to find out more and more information. And what it actually does is, once you do that, it'll actually bring up a search dialog, like on Google, and it'll actually show you. So again, if you want to dive in, learn more, understand what might resonate more with your clients, or look at your competition, do not forget Pinterest. So what I want you to think about is, let's go to this one, sorry, okay, is remember this. I want you to define your target market. And I'm going to go online here in a minute. We're going to actually show you some stuff. I'll take some questions beforehand. Then I want you to figure out how you reach them. I want you to know exactly the type of customer they are, and then I want you to tailor your marketing to your customers. And we'll get into this later, but these are the things that, this is just an hour webinar, hour and a half webinar. This is where, when we have our conference in January, we will be deep diving into this. We will be taking one-for-one clients and say, okay, here's my book. This is what it's all about. And in fact, we'll open it up kind of like we did last week, and maybe we can have some fun online, and I can show you some of these tricks specifically to some of the people that are on this webinar. And then once you've done that, then we define what's the best way to reach them, and then how you can tailor your marketing. And I guess one of the best steps I can say is start with yourself. You've written a book. You're passionate about it. What are all those things that you resonate with? Think of yourself as that perfect reader. Obviously, you're passionate because you wrote about it. What are your interests? An example, again, I'll give you an example. There's an author that many of us have worked with. She wrote a book called Apron Strings. It's a beautiful book. And it's about her story growing up with a nanny. She came from a very wealthy family, and she had a colored nanny that basically raised her. She's been on NPR 2 or 3 times, I think, Amy, right? But when I sat down with her, and she wasn't as happy as she wanted her sales to even be bigger than they are. I mean, the woman's got like 128 Amazon reviews. And I'm like, okay, but who are we really targeting? I said, Mary, who are we really targeting? Right? I said, let's go into that. And what it came to was the message in her book was not just that she was raised by a nanny, but there were many messages in that. And so she was able to really think about that very differently. And believe it or not, whether it was depression or whether it was suicide or whether it was ethnic challenges, whatever, it gave her a very, very different approach to think about the target market she wants to go after. And then once we did that and we kind of nailed it down to that age range, and we thought about their behaviors and their lifestyles and all of that, now we're beginning a very active campaign where we're handing it over to Ms. Amy, who's going to figure out how we're going to regionalize this, get it to those very specific regions that we want, how we're going to go after bloggers that would look at this story and say, wow, I can see as a person that writes, I have a blog about let's say depression or whatever it might be. Why doesn't it make sense to bring in an author, very successful author, to talk about her book, but then to get the conversation going about that particular topic. And it was funny, this last slide is, I, for the heck of it, did a search just on dentists. And when I went into Amazon and I said, what are other books? It was about how to whiten teeth. What do you think came up as the typical books? Put it in the chat window, guys. What do you think came up as books that, if people who bought this also were interested in or similar, what do you think came up? Anybody? Are we getting anybody?
Not yet.
Amy? Joni? Want to guess?
No, go ahead, Georgia. Tell us what came up.
It was like fashion. It was how to look hot for a date. It was online dating type stuff. So that people that were interested in whitening teeth, okay, it was their interests. It was like, that's going to make them look better. Really, really intriguing to me. Another one I did, I can't remember which one I queried, and we can play with this in a second, but things like depression, anxiety. And it's so interesting to me that by even using just something as simple as Amazon, how much you can really dive into this stuff. So with that, I'll take some questions and then I'll go online and we'll deep dive and I'll show you some tricks.
Yeah, well, Frances said romance was one of the things that she thought. And do that. And before we get into questions, let me jump over here and just remind everybody that we do have a special where we're all going to see very quickly. And if I can, I'm going to take this away for just a sec, and as soon as I can figure out on the organizing, I've got so many goodies open here, I can't figure out where I am on it all. So I think I'm going to take it back, and I will change the presenter and show these last couple of slides, if it will let me, and show about the screen. And we'll switch over here very quickly just to my screen and just remind everybody that we have January 18th to 25. We're going to, Georgia and Joan and Michelle and Amy and our special guest speaker, Michelle DeFlippo, will be at your beck and call. Literally, we are so accessible and so available to you, even outside of the classroom, on the beautiful Allure of the Seas. We're going to be doing the navigating of the high publishing seas for your book success, and that includes you, the author's success. We're leaving Fort Lauderdale the afternoon of January 18th, returning the 25th. We will go to Nassau for a day of play. We'll be in St. Martin and St. Thomas for days of play, but on shipboard, you're going to work many, many hours. We do let you out in the sun a little bit, but we will be working. So we would love to have you join us. During this time, we only have a select group of balcony rooms to use, and the workshops are highly interactive. We're all there. We'll have a beautiful conference room, so there'll be tables and all the like to do that. That it's group, and we'll be group teaching. So Georgia, for example, will be doing a session on social media, and you'll find that Amy, Joan, and Michelle and myself all have something to add to the party in the mix, as well as you as the attendees. The Allure of the Sea is one of the big, big babies. There'll be beautiful beaches. St. Thomas has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And you can go on the rccl.com website and just look up the cruise and see what the itinerary is. But it's just 3 stops and the ship. So who should attend? You. If you're an author seeking an idea for a book, if you're an author who's writing but dragging your feet and maybe you're stuck or it's a little difficult, if you're an author who's almost done and you need a realistic plan to get kick-started and move on to the next step, if you're an author whose sales have just kind of stalled and it's a little limp and you want to get it going again, if you understand that it's just not a cruise but a special event with a lot of added amenities, and if you're one of those people who are looking forward to fun, some sun, and getting your book done. So this is a partial list, an impromptu we took of some of our attendees from last year, and we had a great, great time. The pricing is extraordinarily reasonable. Early bird is through September 15th, and you can get all the detailed information on the publishingatc.com website. Right now, it's $1,695 per person. That includes all your taxes, all your tips and gratuities, and of course, food 24 hours a day if you choose to be. If you want to have a room, a cabin all by yourself, it goes to $25.95. And if there's just one of you who is going to be attending the workshops and you're bringing along a spouse or a friend who just wants to boogie on the ship and the ports, it's $31.95. So we've made arrangements that you can make payments over 6 months, which is less than $300 a month. I'm going to encourage you, if you want to be seriously successful, come on the Publishing at Sea Cruise January 18th through the 25th. All the details are on the publishingatc.com website, so please, please go to it and take advantage, because we'd love to see you there. Prices are going to be going up after the 15th by $300 per person. So again, that's Publishing at Sea, and we will look forward to seeing you there. Okay, Georgia, let's get into some of those questions that people might have. And we can go ahead and just ask away, everybody. Are there any out there? And I think what I need to do is go and find. I'm going to need to do.
I see one, Judith. Can I?
Go ahead.
I see one from Earl.
You bet.
He says, thanks for the webinar. Do you have any advice for a book with a clear primary audience, which is home buyers, but also multiple and potentially more lucrative secondary audiences who would buy the book in quantity to give to their home buyer clients?
Julie, can you repeat that? I'm sorry, I went in and out.
Thanks for the webinar. Any advice for a book with a clear primary audience? The clear audience, the target market is home buyers, but also multiple and potentially more lucrative secondary audiences who would buy the book in quantity to give to their home buyer clients. I would think certainly realtors, and another group of people who are, so a lot of these people, they do this full-time, believe it or not. They're home stagers. They will come and, especially if you're moving and you're selling your home and you've already moved to your new location, they'll come and show you how to rent furniture to make the rooms look like somebody's living in them.
I did that, Joni. I did it last year. I hired a home stager and I hired a personal organizer. So the personal organizer came in to make my closets look really nice, and the home stager made the house look really pretty. Okay. But yeah, for sure, realtors, mortgage, anybody that's wants to, people that are going to be going after new mortgages, furniture. I mean, there's just so many places. But the question is where do you go first?
Let me ask you, Joan, who asked that question? Because I'll open up the mic to that person.
Earl Williams.
All righty. All right.
I'm not quite sure, Earl, what your book is about. You might want to tell us what your book is about.
Earl, you're on.
Okay, hi. Can you hear me all right?
We can.
Yep.
Yes.
Great. Okay, so yeah, I asked a clarifying question, not so much about who the secondary markets might be. I realize there are quite a number of them, like realtors and home stagers. Thank you. It was more about how to have my marketing not be schizophrenic when it is trying to reach multiple markets, not only home buyers, but also realtors and mortgage loan officers and home stagers and appraisers and home inspectors. So, for example, I'm building a Pinterest following, and I've got a bunch in each category.
Right, and your boards need to be very specific to the type of people that you're going after. Your posts need to be organized in such a way that are going to resonate with those people. In Twitter, and in finding those people with the, like I said, the the site that I showed you, just tweet it. Finding people, I think there's a whole section in there on finance. I think there's even a section in there on realtors in there. So
Sure.
finding
So you would suggest segmenting.
What is your book about? Can you tell us what your book is about?
Sure. The book is about the gotchas involved in home buying, many of which are psychological because I'm a psychologist by academic training.
And is the book out?
No, it's not. I'm still writing it. It's early in the writing phase, more in the research and audience definition phase.
Okay, so have you looked at any of your competitors, or do you know of anybody that's done anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been listening to Judith's podcast and others for a while and know the cardinal rule about knowing your audience and who your book is for, and it's not for everyone. So yes, I've certainly looked at that and looked at competing books. There are a lot of sort of 6 inches deep end-to-end home buying books, and there are some that are very focused on the financial, can you afford it, how do you get your credit built books, which is not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on the home searching through closing side, which is fraught with a variety of psychological issues in terms of how we cognitively approach the home hunting process, but also just fears and worries about making mistakes in such a big decision in your life, and how to avoid some of those. I wish I would have thought of X, or I wish somebody would have told me Y.
Right.
Well,
Okay.
one place where you could now are most of these people have realtors, or a lot of these people selling the house by themselves so that they don't have to pay the commission.
No, this is for home buyers, not sellers. So it's
for buyers,
people who
for
want
home buyers.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
I would reach out to see if there's an old-fashioned Earl welcome wagon around that they used to have that really would distribute to areas. I also would aggressively go after homeowners associations. Sometimes they know when there are people who are looking in the neighborhood.
Sure.
So give me a book, just for the heck of it. Give me a book that you think that you've looked at that says, well, it's not exactly what you're writing about, but it kind of is along the same lines.
Georgia, I've
Okay,
got your screen back on. Why don't you show people what you're doing while you're looking stuff up so they can see the process?
I'm going to do that. So give me a book.
Sure.
Hi,
So
this
an
is
example.
This is Amy, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to answer the question. So an example, an established author, she has national radio shows and podcasts and email lists and the like. Is her last name is Glink, Glink.
Right.
First name Elise, Illyce.
Right.
And she has books like 100 Questions Home Buyers Should Ask.
Right there. There we go. I just Googled in Amazon home buyer books. So I'm going to bring this up. It's got 63 customer reviews. Frequently bought together as home buying kit and buying your first home.
Okay, so we don't see your screen at all, Georgia.
Oh, I'm sorry. Share my screen. Screen sharing. Hold on, I'm sorry. Tell me when you see it.
Well, maybe.
We still see your slides.
There you go.
Still see
How's
your
that?
slides.
You see it now?
No?
All right. You see it now?
Yes.
There you go.
It's coming on now.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So here it is. 100 questions. First thing I come down and I look at special offers and products. Okay. Frequently bought together. Home buying kit for dummies. Known as essential guide for your first home. And I'm going to start to go through here. 10 steps to home ownership. Buying your own home. I would look through that.
Sure.
All right. And I'm going to come down here. And is she showing her website? Okay, Twitter, Facebook fans. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to take this Glink fan page. God, what a name. Why would she do that? All right, so we're going to do a Glink fan page. And I'm going to come up here. And I'm going to say, Fans of fan page.
Oh, the Facebook graph search, yeah, right.
Okay, but she's not coming up in my results.
You could just say fans of Elise Glenk. That'll should come with it.
Well, that's weird because her Facebook page that she's taking people to is, so we'll just say fans of Elise, E-L-Y-S-E.
It's actually I-L-Y-S-E. You'd never guess.
Okay.
Or C-E rather even. Sorry, not S-E.
Sorry. There we go.
There you go.
So you've already done this. You've already done this?
Yes, not recently, but yeah, I'm familiar with Facebook graph search of, fans of Elise Glenk who also live in Chicago, that kind of thing.
Okay. Have you ever done favorite interests?
No.
Okay, so we're going to do favorite interests. Obviously, real estate, traveling, social media, entrepreneurship, public speaking, sales, leadership, health and fitness, coaching, spirituality, wine tasting. Okay, now let's go here. And over here is where you can even dive in deeper. So you can say page type. And let's just say employer. So here are all people, and you can see commercial real estate, business consultant, real estate agent, appraiser. So this would be a great way to see the people. Well, transport and freight, I guess, because they're going to be shipping stuff. Heck, I know half these people on her page. So I would look through this. The next thing I would do is I'd even come down a little bit further. Sometimes these will work and sometimes they won't. So let's just go employer. Let's go books. This is interesting. So this is favorite books liked by people who like her. Think and Grow Rich. How Top Real Estate Agents Tackle Tough.
She's kind of evolved in the last 3-5 years from advising home buyers to advising real estate investors.
Okay. But let's do something else here. Okay. And we did interests. Let's just for the heck, let's see region. Okay. So these are ranked. So New York, Central New York, Passaic, New Jersey. This tells you all the, this is scary stuff, but you can get all this stuff. Just look at this. Rank them. You can even say visited by, page type. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing how deep dives you can go into. But I want to go here and show you something. You do know how to do fans of Elise Glenk, who also are fans of. There's so many things that you can do with Facebook search. It's unbelievable. But this is the one.
Is there a research that'll hit those keywords for Facebook graph search? There must be. I haven't looked recently, but it's like half the Google qualifiers are very useful.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, I tried a lot of them, but it doesn't seem to model the ordinary search things that we would normally do. But here's what I want to show you. If you go in, everybody, you need to be signed in as your personal. So here, I'm just going to go back. This is my personal page. All right, and to use Ads Manager, you have to always be signed in as your personal account. I'm going to click the number F. I'm going to go into Ads Manager. And in Ads Manager, you're going to find this thing called Audience Insights. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check everyone on Facebook. And we're going to start with our demographics. So we could break this down. We could add another country. We could, go down to region. We could go down to city, whatever. We'll keep it at the United States. The next, let's go to age. So let's say, what do you think the average age?
For me,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, go ahead with, 26.
Okay. And we can do this a couple of ways. We could say, there might be a lot of, first-time home buyers, you're saying. Okay.
Right.
So,
Which are typically, at least the research side is often being led by the young woman in the couple, which is part of why Pinterest is so much more powerful because of its demographics than, say, probably LinkedIn for this particular market.
right. So if we wanted to, we could break it down into women only. And let's go into interests. And what did we say the interests were? Real estate, right?
Uh-huh.
And they will give you many options. Well, actually, it's only giving me a couple, but we'll just say real estate. And was the next one travel? I can't remember. Why don't you say travel?
Earl, while she's doing this, I have a question. Did you go after the FSBO market?
No, because again, my focus is on buyers, at least for book one here, and not on sellers.
Okay, so we're going to say that.
But wait a minute. Can I add on to that? A FSBO market.
Sure.
Yeah, I may have misunderstood your question.
No. FSBO markets, people who are going to try to sell it themselves, that's for sale by owner, for those of you who that
Right.
stands for. They're also out buying a house themselves. So I don't think I would be ignoring that market.
That's true. They're putting themselves out there, and the likelihood is that they need to buy a new home themselves.
Yeah. And I don't know what the conversion factor is from FSBO to a listed deal. You would probably know that. But I think that's a big market for you.
Okay. Yeah, that's likely home buyers that are advertising their status. That's true.
Now, I happen to know that millennials, which is that age group, love digital activities. Let's say we want to go to, I'll just skip that for now. We already have, let's say the relationship is, it depends on what you want. We could go with married, we could go with single. Okay.
Or engaged, if they're house hunting while engaged.
All right. Okay. You can even go down into they're engaged 1 year, 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. We could go down into education. So we want, let's say, college. We don't have to.
Sure.
We can say work. If they work in a corporation, a small office, you can go into financial. What income level do you want?
Let's see here. I'm squinting at the value there.
It's 30 to 40,
no.
40 to 50.
Sure, I see it there. Okay. Well, do the 75 and the 100 one for now.
Okay.
Family income.
I doubt they have much net worth. Okay.
Right.
Now this is cool. They are renters. Because their first time. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. We can even go into, like I said, generations, household composition.
Uh-huh.
Are they parents?
So my original conversation starting question was that given that I have this segmented audience, which is, and the cardinal rule of what Judith and others have often said is smaller, more targeted niche is better. In writing my blog posts and in what I, pin and curate of material that's on the web from others and other people's content, I don't want to only focus on the primary audience because I want to attract the attention of these secondary audiences that might buy the book for the primary audience and, in fact, possibly buy quite a bit more of it.
Yeah, and I think we have to approach that two different ways. My second book that I did, before I did anything with it, Fuji bought 4,000 copies.
Yeah.
And they used that as a premium giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
And they handed it out to all their salespeople. And they
Right.
also had me attend a conference and do a book signing. And it was a way, I was a booth babe. I was
Right.
bringing people into the booth.
Uh-huh.
But I just want to share with you really quickly that this is the kind of data from this tool that you can get. So you can see the top categories that people are interested in based on
And that's
what
useful
we
so
see
that
in
you
there.
can target your future marketing toward
Exactly.
those locations.
Here's the pages that they all like. Gerber, Old Navy, Starbucks, Amazon.com, Walmart, Macy's. You can go into, let's look at location. Here's the top locations: New York, New York, Chicago, Illinois. Well, that makes sense. Most people probably don't own a house there. You can go into activity. And you can see in their lifetime, they've liked 48 different pages. They've made, in the last 30 days, they made 25 comments. They've liked 44. They've shared posts. And they've only, so this says, you know, is advertising really going to be the right method? Maybe what you want to do is you might want to run an ad for people relative to a post, because you can do that with Facebook advertising. You can select, I want to click to a website, I want to, you know, get more likes, I want to get more engagement. Probably this tells me that I would use that. You can actually see the type of devices. Obviously desktop, mobile, iPhone, iPad. Again, this is something I want all of you to think about, is when, if you don't have a website, I want you to think about making sure that your website uses what we call a responsive design. I'm a big proponent of WordPress, and what that means is whether they're on their cell phone, or on an iPad, or on a desktop computer, it automatically adjusts. It's not mobile friendly, it's responsive. Okay, it's a very, very big difference. But here you can come down and you can see that 70% of them, small family, the market value. You can go down to their spending methods. So bank cards and credit cards. Scary stuff. And how they purchase.
I've got another idea for you, Earl.
Yes, thank you.
This is Joan on how to find a target market. And we haven't mentioned this one yet, and I think it would be super for you. All of the consumer experts out there, like, you know, like Clark Howard. You know who Clark Howard is?
Sure.
That nerdy guy who has that talk show. He's probably the top consumer expert in the country. People like that who have radio shows, that they would love your tips because they're out there working for the consumer.
Right.
And I just went on Google and I just typed in consumer expert, and Clark Howard came in right at the top. There's somebody named Andrea Warroch. There's just all kinds of people on there. So I would go over and do that. Also, there are a whole bunch of meetup groups specifically for first-time home buyers. So go on to meetup.com. I just did a Google search for home buyers on Meetup, and all kinds came up on the first page.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, if you go back to what Judith was saying, this is their purchase behavior. So you can look at, you know, they're spending a lot of money on clothes, food and drink. When people who buy stuff, they're interested in, right? So use this data, and you can create various audiences, and you can actually save different audiences. So the next step that you might want to go through is to make one that's more targeted at the professional. All right? And then you can see basically what their interests are, where they subscribe to. I mean, this is just an incredibly, incredibly powerful tool.
Okay, and let me make a suggestion. If you go back to the page likes tab on this, yeah, that came up what people liked. Look at Gerber, Old Navy, Victoria's Secret. I'll bet you anything that there are hashtags connected with Gerber and Old Navy or Ellen or Target. And here's a stealth thing that you can do, because the next question I'm going to throw out, because we have other people who want questions and we need to move on, but it ties in with Twitter. And that if you start using your hashtags, whether it's in the things that you do, Earl and everyone else listening in, because basically almost everyone is still here, that if you use hashtags in some of your announcements with your social media, and even use hashtags that seem maybe unrelated, but by God, people are following Gerber, that it might be really interesting to see if you might pick up some attention and traction by someone who's got a baby and all of a sudden, gee, here's some really hot tips on buying a new house, and I've got this baby on the way. So
it's like newsjacking. You use some.
Yeah, we're going to newsjack. That's right. That's one of Joan's favorite things. So we're going to newsjack it. So I'm going to suggest doing that on that. All right?
Great. Thanks, everyone. Let me let someone else ask a question.
You're so welcome. All right, let me throw out, Janice is calling in, and she doesn't show on our screen, but she had a question about tweets and retweeting, and should you do it? And I'm going to respond to that since Twitter is my thing, and the answer is absolutely yes. You repeat the same tweet the same day 3 or 4 times. You can also repeat it several times out. And think of the old Dr. Pepper slogan, 10, 2, and 4. That'll work. So it could be 10:05, it could be 2:05, it could be 4:05. Have your Twitter times is between 9 and 2 during the Monday through Friday time frame. But absolutely retweet. And if you've got a killer tweet or you're connecting with something, please think about just making alterations of your tweet. So it's basically the same thing and leads it that way, but maybe some word or phrase doesn't hook somebody, but another one would. So take advantage of that. It's really critical to understand that. Earl mentioned that he listens to the radio show I do every Thursdays at 6 o'clock Eastern, and that show grew from 0 to already this month we have in excess of 20,000 downloads. So it's a way to grow. Twitter is the only thing I've really done to grow the show. So think about that.
Here's a tool that I didn't mention. In this tool, they have a free version and they have a paid version. And it's called commune.it. And it is, I actually am becoming more of a fan of this than I am of even Hootsuite. And so, for instance, here's 5 people that it's saying, consider to re-engage them. Okay, so I can go up and I can say hi. Hi, Trevor. It's been a while since we've last hiked. I hope all is well. Have a great day. It'll actually come up and give you some lingo, or you could put something else in. You can go in and you can say, consider to reply. So these are people, okay? So Judith, thanks for the retweets. Or, I don't like to constantly say thanks for the retweets. I like to say something that's a little bit more. Consider to unfollow. So bring up people that I'm going to look at this and say, 186 followers, they don't get much engagement, unfollow. Because you always want to keep that ratio down when, you don't want to have more people that you're following that aren't following you. The other thing with Twitter,
George, are you searching by topic on that site?
No, it comes up with this dashboard, Joni, and it automatically goes.
Well, how do you know what topics these people care about?
Oh, I don't use that for this. These are people that I have engaged with. This is
these are people who you've engaged with. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, it's just a different, and there's actions that you can take. It's a really, really cool tool. Like here, thank new followers, all right? So here, Mobile Tech News, I probably would click on them, take a look at what they do. Obviously, I want to say thank you, all right? So I will just very easily come in here, click on that, mention them, and say thank you so much for following. I look forward to your tweets. So it's just another tool that you can use to kind of manage Twitter. The other thing with Twitter that I want people to remember is that lists are very important. So again, what we did here, this is a list of women travel writers. And these were people on Twitter that we wanted to engage with. So you can go in and you can check on anybody. You can go to Georgia McCabe, and I don't have a lot of these, and I have a ton of lists that are actually very much aligned with the book industry. So I have best publisher feeds, best book publicity feeds, best book review feeds. Okay, so these are all the people, again, these are the people you want to connect with. But I would use just the other site that I shared with you earlier, the Just Follow. And I mean, there's just a ton more. I just don't have time to show everybody all of them. But there's some great ways that you can really, really find the right people on Twitter. Once you engage, absolutely, you want to make sure you retweet them, you mention them. In fact, I prefer not to use retweet as much as I do use a technique called mention. And I'll do a @ sign. I'll put the person's Twitter name in, because if I do that, it'll go out to more, not just, the standard people. And I'll say, thank you so much, it's so nice. So I make it more of a conversation. I've developed some of the best friends and the best relationships from a business standpoint on Twitter. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. All right, let's take another question, Rhonda. And Rhonda Hendrickson has a question. Hi, Rhonda, what's your question? Rhonda, are you there?
No.
Rhonda is not there? Okay. All right, all right, anyone else with a question? If you'll just raise your hand, we'll open it up and you can ask it live. All right, I don't see anything. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's Rhonda again.
While you are doing that, Judith, I'm going to point out an interesting comment that somebody put in here. Earl mentioned Twitter's interface for managing lists is terrible. Try twitlistmanager.com.
So that's twit, T-W-I-T-L-I-S-T.
Listmanager.com.
Manager, okay, I'll type that up and send it out to everybody. All right, thank you.
And we also have a question, Judith or Georgia, somebody wants to know, how do you do mentions on Twitter? How do you type that?
Okay, I'll show you. I'm going to go into Hootsuite because I happen to love Hootsuite. But you can do this on Twitter too. So up here I'm going to compose a message. And I'm going to say, thank you, everyone. And especially at the Book Shepherd. Should I do the Book Shepherd, or do you want me to do author you, Judith?
Either one, and it's my Book Shepherd. It's not the Book Shepherd.
Oh,
so go ahead and do author you. It's easier.
Right. Book Shepherd. No, I'm going to do Joni. at Publicity Hound, Joni? Or
yeah.
At Publicity Hound. And Amy, what's your Twitter? I should know it.
Put new
Amy. Okay, I'll just do this for now.
Put at new shelves. It would be at new shelves. Yeah.
Okay.
Georgia, why are you putting a dot before the @ sign? What's the purpose of that?
Oh, that's important to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Judith.
Well, when you do the dot in front of it, it will, well, actually, you don't need the dot in front of it inside the text because it'll go, I don't know what George is trying to do. If you leave it inside, it goes out to everybody. If she's sending a direct message, okay, so if she's doing it like this, you have to have the dot in front of the first one. Otherwise, it just goes directly to them, and what she wants to do is a shout out to everybody to let them know that these are good people to follow as well. Is that correct?
Oh, I see. Okay, yep.
I always do both, but you don't have to. And then I would just say send now.
All right. So what you need to remember, if you're going to do something back, if the handle, what they call on Twitter, the handle starts off your sentence, if you want it to go to everybody in your feed, you put a dot in front of it. If it's later in the body, you don't need to do that. And if you started your sentence with at my book shepherd, it would just come to me if it didn't have a dot in front of it. Okay?
I just personally feel that when I send out a tweet, if I mention someone versus just a retweet, especially people that are very, accustomed to Twitter, a retweet's just a piece of cake. I also find that it's easier to follow, and I mean, this is what I hate about Hootsuite and the way you have to do it, and that's why I've kind of gone to Communit, is it makes it more difficult to thank people. So that's why I love this, because it'll come right up, it'll tell me who's done it, and with one click here, I can immediately respond.
Got it. We have a couple of more questions. I've opened up the line to Terrence Crimmins. And Terrence, what's your question?
Could you elaborate a little on how to use all that search information without having to shell out for advertising?
Without having to shell out?
For advertising, right?
Oh, sure, sure. So what would happen is I would create and I would save this profile, but let's go ahead and just try and create an ad. So we're going to use just the ad tool. Now, what's really cool about the ads is that you have several options. So when we just did that example where we saw, based on narrowing it down to the profile that the gentleman gave me, that I saw that there were people that were less likely to click on a standard ad, but they're most likely to engage, either like a page or to engage in a page. So I would most likely make for him a page post engagement. And then I would pick a page I happen to be a manager of. So this is Judas. Okay, and I'm going to go continue. And there we go. Wait a minute. Scroll down. Okay. And the first thing that I want you to think about is remove this where it says right column. And the reason I'm telling you to do that is people are less likely these days to really respond to any right column ads. And what happens is when you set this up with your budget, it just eats away at your dollar amount. So now we're going to go into show advanced options. And there's a couple of things that you can do. Here, you can actually append, add different URLs. Down here, okay, you can see it picked it up. It picked up all that stuff that I built. United States, 26 to 35, the income, their renters. It took in all that data. We didn't put any of that. And now this is the ad. I'm going to say, well, how much do I want to spend per day? So let's say I'll keep it at $5. You can go up. I typically go for $10 a day. And I'll be sure to do this. So let's do it for 2 days. And I always pick optimize for post engagement. Okay? Now, what I didn't have, because I didn't actually have an actual post, what I should have done is picked an actual post. So here's one that Judith had. So let's just say, there we go. So what it does is it says, take a post that you put on your page. So you want to think about something that you want. And basically what's going to happen is in the news feed, it's going to promote out to all the people that we specifically targeted. What a lot of people don't understand, and let me go back here. Let me just go here. What a lot of people don't understand is, let's just click on, let's go to the author you. Okay, so Judith has 1,445 likes, okay? And she does a great job with quotes. But what we ideally want to have happen is we want to reach more than 42 people. I mean, we have 1,445. Do you have a page yourself?
Yes.
What is it? What's the name of it?
Hostages. That's the that's one social media thing I really have to work on.
Okay. But my point is, I mean, I can pick any page, and this is not just unique to Judith, okay? This is everybody. So Judith has got 42 people, but we want to get this up to at least 10%, 1,400 or 144.
Yeah.
How are we going to do that? The way we're going to do that is we're going to get people to see what we've got. And so what Facebook has done, whether we like it or not, is they're encouraging more and more people to actually pay for ads. Mm-hmm. Now, if you don't want to do that, you've got to find creative ways that you're going to reach people, and you're going to get more what they call affinity if you can get a lot of shares, if you can get a lot of comments.
The problem I have with that page is it requires a lot of technical skill. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do. Like the top of the page needs a picture that's long, a normal picture won't fit there. There are a lot of.
So watch this. Watch this. And this
like
is a little off. This is a little off topic, but I'm going to show you. Joni covered this last week. This is a free site, and it's called Canva, CANVA.com. So you just come here, and I'm going to say, okay, let's go to social media. And what it does is it actually gives you templates that allow you to very easily, in this case, it's just the ones to do, let's just say, this is a post, but let me go back, I'm sorry. Go back here, I'm sorry. I picked the wrong one. Facebook cover, right here. This is free. All right. And here you can search images. So let's just say, I don't know, I don't even know if hostages is there, but let's go ahead and see. And I'm not suggesting that these work for you,
Yeah,
but you can. There are sometimes some. Go ahead.
There's a number of words you could use in addition to that one.
Right. So I can, you can pick an image, you can scale it up. Okay, just bring it over, and then here, this is where you're going to want to add in your own little picture of yourself. I highly recommend that people have something that's very identifying. So it's either a logo or it's a picture like yourself. And once you've picked your images, put them in the right place. All you do is you come up here and you say download link. Let me just click off of that. Now I could add text in here as well if I wanted to. But it's an awesome tool that allows it very simply to be created. But you got to just find the right picture you want and do it right. Joni, you're a big fan of Canva.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I'm going to suggest that, Terrence, if you did you listen to last week's webinar that Joan did?
I did. I don't remember you doing that.
Okay.
No. Unless.
Now watch what I would do, Terrence. Here I can put some text. I can just say I want text like this. I can change the font size. I can change the color. Let's just keep it in, let's make it ugly for now. Now I'll do it black. Put the name, whatever catchy thing you want to say here. No. Blah, blah, I don't know, whatever. Oops. Oops. Let's bring that over. Get the book now. And then I would just come down here, get the book. Change my size, stretch it out, move it around. And then all I hit is download. It's going to save my download. So I'll just put it as an image. I'd have to pay $1. Oh, go ahead, I'll pay this for you. How's that? Just so you can see how easy it is. And then Judith will kill me. I won't do this, but I'll show you how easy it is to do.
Why would I kill you?
Because I'm not going to put this picture up in your timeline. But I want to show them that it's not as hard as people think it is.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good idea not to.
Yeah. Okay, so that's just going to download to my desktop. And so I'm going to go back to Author U. Leave this page. And see where it says change cover?
Yeah.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
All I do is say change cover. And it says, okay, upload it. I'm not going to do it, Judith, don't worry. And then I would just, it's going to take me to my desktop. I'm going to pick it. I'm going to hit go, and the whole thing changes.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay?
All right.
Georgia, there's another tool called Social Media Image Maker. And if you do a Google search for it, it will bring you to a site that's free. It's probably the most valuable site out there for creating things like the banner, the Facebook banner that you just created, for knowing, how to do the new Twitter background, for doing just all the little picky. It's called Social Media Image Maker, but it's got some weird URL. So just do a Google search for it, and it's all drag and drop. It's drop dead easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
I want to let yeah, and also I want to let everyone know I just sent out in the chat box to all a link where Joan and I did a radio show talking about Canva and some other templates that would be good for you to use for PR and creating rockin' headlines. Okay.
Thank you kindly. I just went to that Google page, and there's a bunch of them. There's one that's part of Facebook. There's one that's autryplanet.com, social media image maker, AP social media image maker.
Yeah, I think it's the AP one. It should be right at the top. Yes, it's some weird. Yeah, it's a weird URL right there. I think it's autoplay. Yeah, that's it. Click on that and just take a look at it. It keeps you from having to remember the correct pixel size of all of these social media sites.
Yeah, they ask you that question. I haven't a clue.
I get that. All right,
exactly.
We're at our 90-minute mark. Let's take. We have another question. I'm going to go to TW, and let's see if we can help him or her. Hi, TW.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can. Glad to have you.
Thank you. You've given a lot of great information for people who have nonfiction books. I wonder if you could delve a little bit into the fiction side of it, especially for young readers.
Absolutely.
It's not so great for that as far as I can tell. Maybe
yikes. Wait a minute. If you listened earlier, Georgia was all over fiction with the Tuscany from Love. It's all fiction.
I must have missed that. I was late. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
We'll go over some of it, but make sure you get the replay because we really dove into it.
I will definitely do that. So don't repeat it for the other guys.
No, that's okay because maybe it'll take me 2 seconds. So this is a woman that I worked with. She launched her book in January. Oops. Her name is Gail Mancini, and she wrote a book called To Tuscany with Love. Okay, so it's right here. And what we did initially was to really try and understand who her audience was. So just if you could key in what your book is about, and look at what other competitors, you can see that I saw people who bought this item also bought Not in a Tuscan Villa, Love in Limoncello, Villas in Tuscany. But you can see everything is very Italian, right? I mean, it's all about Italy. It's all about whatever. And so the first thing that I showed earlier is how we wanted to really start to look at the demographics. And let's pretend we didn't have a Facebook page at the time. And so I just clicked on this person, which is the #1 subject that came up. And what was really interesting with this particular individual is that he actually gave us his website, Not in a Tuscan Villa, and he also has his Facebook page, Not in a Tuscan Villa. So one of the things that you can do, and again, this can be about any fiction, is we'll just do fans of, oops, oops, sorry, my computer's getting slow. I got too many things going on. Okay. And once you're in here, I can deep dive in on Facebook, and I can learn a ton about, these are all the fans of his Facebook page. I can go in and say, you know what? I want to know what the favorite interests are. So here I'm going to just use, this is called Facebook's Graph Search. And I start to dive, and I use this particular capability within Facebook to start to understand what do they like. Well, we can see that they like traveling, they like cooking, they like gardening, reading, genealogy, wine tasting, etc. And so then what I did was I went into, let's say, Hootsuite, and I should sign on as Gail and show you. But basically what I did on Twitter was I started to find people that were interested in those topics. So Italian cooking, travel to Italy. I use hashtags like Judith said, like pound Tuscany. So you can actually search right here. I could just say pound Tuscany. And this shows every tweet that's coming up using that term. So I started to follow this, and I'm like, oh, Italy travel. And I would read it. I would look at what that person did, and then I would reply instead of a retweet and say, absolutely love this. Thanks for sharing, you know, Italy travel. And I just get really creative in here. But what happened was once I started to do that, we started to develop relationships. And so I created on Hootsuite, I created a list called, under a hashtag, Pound Tuscany. I created another hashtag called, because she's focused on women's fiction. That's another thing I should show you real quick. I'm jumping around and I apologize. But I can say groups about women's fiction. Women's fiction. And you can see these are public groups. And so we joined that group, and we started looking at what they're saying, what they're writing. We started engaging, okay? And so what we did was, after we nailed down what the interests were, we went to various Facebook pages that, here's one I can show you. It's called Tuscany, Total Tuscany. These are people that we found on Twitter, and these people do podcasts. And if I go back all the way to right around March, they had various episodes that they did, episode 20, oh my gosh, where they actually interviewed Gail. But we got to meet them, and then they started helping to promote us out. And another one is Tuscanylicious. It was Discover Tuscany. So we started engaging with them on Facebook, engaging with them on Twitter, and then what happened is this momentum, this tribe starts to just emerge, and all of a sudden you have this little group. It's like this big loving. The Total Tuscany loves this guy, Rick, who is the top blogger for all of Italy. And all of a sudden, Rick is retweeting, promoting us out. And then that created interest where then we started to engage with the editors and the reviewers of some of the big sites like the Huffington Post, USA Today. Gail's book got picked as the women's fiction book for the month of February.
And you're thinking that that Facebook and these tools on Facebook work as well for the young adult audience?
How young?
They're probably 16 to 18. It's
Well,
an
I
early.
would say, quite honestly, I think Instagram is something that you ought to look at. I don't think Twitter would be for them.
Right.
That's my gut. Joni, Judith, Amy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
No,
Yeah,
how old again?
The main characters are 16 and 18.
Oh,
so
no. The only place you play is Tumblr. You go to Tumblr, Tumblr.
Instagram, Judith. Instagram.
And
Instagram is
Instagram's the other
huge.
one, but Tumblr is where the YA crowd hangs out.
What's the book about?
It's YA adventure fantasy.
Yeah,
It has aliens and comets.
So that's hot. I mean, that's even hot with people that are even a little older than that. So I would, quite honestly, I would go into the Facebook audience insights that I showed you,
right.
and I would start to look at that demographic,
Yeah.
and I would put in, like if you have a book that you think that it's similar to,
Okay.
I would look at the stats on that to see is it truly that audience, or are we looking at an audience that might even be more of the millennial?
Right.
And if that's the case, Facebook is a place for you to go.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Welcome. I mean, I've worked with more fiction authors than I have nonfiction authors.
Yeah, but Georgia, I will say that the kids are abandoning Facebook right and left because their parents are there. And
Yeah.
Tumblr is the,
Right, but what I'm saying, Judith, is I'm not sure that even though the characters are that age, that it necessarily means that the audience for the book is that.
well, but she said her audience was a YA crowd. So it just
Okay.
use them both, but
Okay.
don't ignore Tumblr.
Okay.
It's really important for you. All right. So I think that kind of wraps up all our questions, and I think it would be important for us to ask, we still have lots of you still on here, have these 4 webinars that we've done, those of you who've been with us the whole time, how have they been? Why don't you respond in the box so we can see if we met our goal, and that have any of you listened to the others if you weren't on the original time? Waiting to see if anything comes in here. We did someone ask if we were going to do another lecture, and we are going to do a bonus lecture for those who have signed up to go on the cruise with us. So Ari, thank you. This has been extremely helpful. She appreciates all of us. We appreciate you being here. Okay, anything else that we need to go with? All right, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. And thank you, Joan and Amy and Georgia, and Michelle was on with us tonight as well. Social media, this will be up for replay. We have them all posted on YouTube, but all you have to do is go to the publishingatsea.com website. There is a tab that says Webinar Replays. And when they're there, we will, as soon as this one's ready, we'll be up and running. And you can listen to all of them. There's so much information packed in each one of them that they are worth the replays that we'll have up for a while. And with that, Joan, do you want to add on anything?
No, that's it. Other than that, Judith, I'm going to need your recording.
We'll get it and send that over to you. And Georgia, anything else you want to add?
Yes, just one real quick. I couldn't stop to do this if the woman is still on.
Yeah?
I just, for the hell of it, went 18 to 45, interested in science fiction movies.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in Facebook, you're right, Judith, they don't go below 18. But you can see that there's a pretty large group of people between the age of 18 and 24, like men is a little bit higher, all right, who are interested in that. They like trucking and styling. But what this was really interesting to me when I came down here, food preparation and services, probably because most of them work there, right?
Okay.
So don't immediately assume. I encourage all of you to just even try this tool out, play with it. What you think, you know, as you said, you think it's that YA, but maybe there's another group out there that you could find a way to target, and some of these platforms we talked about are the most effective to do that.
Oh, you know, George is exactly right, because remember that Harry Potter was designed for the tween group, and look at all the adults that just gobbled those books down.
Right.
So, all right, with it, we hope you join us for Publishing at Sea. All the information, all the details, all the agendas, all the content is detailed on the publishingatsea.com website. It's open until the 15th and September before prices go up. If you have questions, please call me. I'll be in my offices all weekend and be glad to take your calls before I go underground to write my next book. And that's 303-885-2207. And I will put that number also in the box that you can all get and who are still with us. And we will be letting you know that when this is all available for the replay possibility. So thank you for being with us. From Joan, Amy, Georgia, Michelle, and myself. We'll bid you good night.